that happened like right as we were showing up, and the sandstorms there were horrible, man. I don't know if you've ever been to Jabber, but like it was an old, well, it still is a Kuwaiti like Air Force base, but it was one of the ones that Saddam bombed like right as Gulf War was starting. So you would drive past like all these like huge houses, man, and you could see like these huge like they that bombed out sections of them, and really what had happened is Saddam took over that Air Force base with force, and then I'm pretty sure that was one of the first strikes that F-117s did, and they dropped like the like all these bombs like basically to take out Saddam's like Air Force. Um, it was kind of cool, man. There was a lot of history there, and it was a decent place like to fly out of.
Yeah, were you pretty busy during that time period?
Yeah, we were. I mean, like you think about like right where the Euphrates like comes into to Iraq and goes back up into Syria. We were really busy, like kind of all throughout that area. Um, there was a lot of I would say a lot of like different dynamics. It was also like Russia was there, so you had like a pretty complicated decision matrix, like to really like describe it in the best layman's terms, as far as like, hey, you see something bad, like here's 20 different ways you could handle this situation depending on who that is. And it was like, oh my gosh, dude, like there's a lot of different like political and like socioeconomic dynamics going on in that part of the world for sure.
Yeah, between the Kurds, the Turks, the Syrians, the Russians, us, the Iranians, like there's a lot of dynamics. It's just waiting to boil over. Um, it's a spicy place to be involved for sure. I always said too, like flying over the Euphrates. I don't know, it's varies, but especially up like in Syria, like near Kobani. My solution to all this was like you just drop a bunch of jet skis on the Euphrates. It's so beautiful flying over that. Like I mean, it'd be so epic. And who can be angry on a jet ski? I can't tell me one person,
Yeah, I don't know who would be, man, but like, so we were flying. It was one night we were out there, and it was like a mix of like you would do a mix of like DCA, uh, and you do like a little bit of like hey, we're watching the Russians, they're watching us, and then we kind of got like this no fly zone type deal going. And then you would do like a decent amount of CAS, which is what we were doing to support the JTACs as we were trying to take out ISIS. And so we were out there. It's like 2, 3 in the morning, and like everyone's kind of bored, and there's not like a lot going on. One of the JTACs is like, dude, you want to see something that's like pretty epic? And I'm like, well, like epic as far as like you want to like do something like cool, or like do I just want to see something cool? He's like, no, like it'll actually make you laugh, but like in the next week we're gonna like basically take all this out, so you get to see it like before it happens. I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, all right, here's the coordinates, and we get the targeting pods on them. And so it's like this row down this dirt road right outside the city. It's just a row of like probably half a mile of like washing machines. And I'm like, are those washing machines? And he's like, yeah, man, they are. Isn't that cool? And I'm like, what? He's like, dude, they're loading these washing machines up with like explosives, and they're going to basically like line them along these roads and use them as like IEDs. And I'm like, what? Like, that's pretty strange. So he's like, well, the better question is like, where do you find a washing machine in this part of the world? And I'm like, that's valid, man. Like,
That's also a great question.
I didn't see any like, Sears up the road, it's like, where'd they find like
Yeah.
69 washing machines?
I remember flying over. I didn't talk to someone who actually got involved in the Mosul offensive. When we were there, we dropped a couple bombs like on the outskirts, and it looked like it was just kind of heating up. And it might have been the 14th or the shooters after them. We would just fly over Mosul, and they were just building. It was all day long, just with excavators and bulldozers building a berm around the entire city, which is a big city. So but I also was like, we're like flying over you. Like it's not the medieval times of building a dam and stuff. So like there's just some like weird things that would go on for sure.
Yeah, I've never understood like hiding under a tree. Like, I guess that kind of helps, but it's like it's not gonna like the tree's not gonna do much for you, dude. Like the my first drop was like on a mortar team that was like, there was like some it was there it was basically a mortar team that was lobbing mortars into this like U.S. coalition outbase fob, so to speak, and like as soon as you could tell that they heard us, and we're still, like 25,000 feet, but they could hear like jets. And so they literally like pick up this mortar tripod and they move it like 2 feet under this tree. And like the dude kind of looks up and he's like, yeah, like you're never going to find me now type deal. And it's like, bro, I'm like literally one radio call from like dropping two of these JDAMs and you're going to be smoked. Like that tree's not going to do anything. It was, and we ended up dropping on him and taking him out, which was cool to see an instant impact, like on your first drop. Like you can hear the dude on the
Yeah.
radio in the fob, like you can hear like the sirens going off type deal. You know who's doing it, and it's like, okay, I get to be a part of this kill chain, and the tree's not going to save you.
Yeah. It's just going to give me a mark to really help to make sure I don't miss you.